Caleb Williams, with everything the Bears just did, is going to be in the MVP conversation. Is that an overreaction?
No, it's not an overreaction. I mean, look, if the Bears get off to like a 4-1 start, that conversation is going to be out there. They have loaded up. They went hard in the interior of the offensive line in free agency. They get pass catchers early in the draft. I think they've done a lot to support DJ Moore, Rome Odunze still there, DeAndre Swift, and Ben Johnson calling the plays and drawing it up. I think he's got a chance to make a huge step forward this year.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't, then there'll be nowhere else to point the finger this time around. He's got the coach, he's got the players around him. Next, if I said Kirk Cousins is now just stuck in Atlanta for the year, is that an overreaction?
I say yes. I still think there are ways this could turn out where he gets what he wants and gets an opportunity to go somewhere else and be a starter. But right now, there doesn't seem to be an obvious landing spot for him. Somebody gets hurt in the offseason, which often happens, unfortunately. Aaron Rodgers turns the Steelers down. I mean, there are things that could open up, but right now, Cousins at this point projects to be the backup to Michael Penix Jr., and I don't think anybody's thrilled about that.
Well, you mentioned the Steelers. So if someone were to say the Steelers made a mistake not drafting a quarterback before the 6th round, is that an overreaction?
I say it's an overreaction. I think they felt like this group of quarterbacks didn't offer them a transformative player. They need to get this question answered for the long term. If Aaron Rodgers is coming, and they are still optimistic that he will, then they wouldn't want to take somebody that would cause an issue with him. So next year's quarterback draft is thought to be probably better. And I think the Steelers know that if they can patch it together with an Aaron Rodgers this year, they might be in a position to land somebody who has a better chance to be their long-term answer next year.
Did the Steelers make a mistake this weekend not addressing the quarterback more than they did?
Yes, because you're putting your eggs in Aaron Rodgers' basket, which we know based on his most recent interview, Greeny, with Pat McAfee, he's not sure if he wants to play. So your options get more limited. And then if we're the Steelers and we call up the Atlanta Falcons and say, hey, we want Kirk Cousins, with all that guaranteed money, you're giving them all the leverage. So I was very surprised strategically that the Steelers didn't address the quarterback sooner. Will Howard's an interesting prospect. But again, when you go get DK Metcalf and say, we have a problem scoring, let's go get a point scorer, I am sure they didn't think Mason Rudolph would be their open day quarterback.
Here's the only thing I'll say. The Steelers have come under some uncharacteristic criticism in recent years, and probably some of it is deserved. But the reality is they are an organization that knows what they are doing, right? Bottom line. So the things they have done don't add up. Like they just let Russell Wilson walk away. They let Justin Fields walk away. They seem to have put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. They had 5 opportunities or whatever it was to draft Shedeur Sanders and didn't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I keep coming back to they know what they're doing. They have to have some other plan that I'm not aware of, Peter. What is it?
Look, Rodgers met with them and was very transparent. And Rodgers met with them and the Giants, and Rodgers said to them, I do not have a timetable. I do not know when I'm going to make this decision. If you are uncomfortable with that, you can pivot, and there's no harm done. In fact, the Giants did that and signed 2 different veteran quarterbacks. And Rodgers afterwards said he appreciated Brian Daboll in the meeting that they had, and that Daboll pivoted. The Steelers opted not to. If you ever thought that Aaron Rodgers is on a timeout or has some back handshake deal, I don't think he does. I think the Steelers are banking on the fact that this guy's not done, there are no more seats at the table, and they make the most sense. But I do not think this has been agreed upon yet. It's just they are trusting that he will come eventually.
And or they have some other plan that I just don't know what it is. There's somewhere else they think they can make a trade.
They know there's other options, right? Like all of a sudden it's crowded in Cleveland. It's crowded with the Giants. Like some of these guys, these veterans could still shake loose on a trade market or get
They could get Kenny Pickett back.
Yeah,
but I can't believe
I don't think that's going to happen.
That was a joke, but go ahead.
I don't think the Steelers are going to wait on an AFC North rival to get their quarterback. And again, like all I'm saying, what I find to be inconsistent, Greeny, is if you're going to go get Metcalf and say we have an issue at offense, then go get the quarterback. If not, go trade T.J. Watt.
Would you have felt better if they'd gotten Sam Howell this week?
No, but I would have felt better if they'd taken Shedeur Sanders for sure.
How do we know? I mean, Shedeur Sanders is a 5th-round draft pick. How do we know
I
he's
know
a better option for them this year than Mason Rudolph?
No, I don't know that. That's what I mean. I'm trusting that they know more than I do. D. Wood, if you're a player on that team, what are you thinking?
What the hell is going on? Like, I can't even imagine, like, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt's like, bro, we're just in a constant spin cycle right now. They haven't been in the playoffs since 2016. They have no solution at quarterback. You're literally throwing all your eggs in the basket on a guy who has 1 foot in retirement. That is the worst position to be if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. The worst.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
The
Final
problem
word.
is, and they know this firsthand because of what happened to them 2 years ago with Kenny Pickett. If you take a guy in the first round and he's not the guy, that spin cycle just gets even worse.
Right, but
I'm not advocating that they should have just taken Shedeur out. I'm just talking about the totality of their quarterback situation is awful right now.
They could have taken him in the 4th round, is the point I'm making. All right, we'll see. Coming up.
Fair enough.
NFL draft this weekend, and so let's assign some big draft winners and big draft losers. Hey, Peter Schrager, give me a big winner from the draft weekend.
The New York Giants are the biggest winners of draft weekend, and it's not just Thursday night. I love their Saturday. Alexander, the defensive tackle, they interviewed him. He said, what do you want to do in the NFL? I want to take my opponent's will. Scatterboo, the running back, talked about how every single day of his life has been set so that he could prove people wrong. And Marcus Bowe, the big offensive lineman at the end, they said, what's your best skill? He says, demoralizing people. Giants got tougher. The Giants got better. Giants fans, it's been a rough couple years. Smile this morning.
Speaking of demoralized, Tannenbaum, give me a loser from this weekend.
DK Metcalf. He's the star receiver that they brought over from Seattle. Great staff from Hembo over the last 3 years. He's 6th in the NFL in vertical route production. And how about this? Assuming that Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback, I almost thought this was a misprint. Aaron Rodgers has one 300-yard passing game in his last 35 starts.
It's not very many.
No.
Okay. D-Wood, give me a winner from this weekend.
How about Drake May? Like, I really like what New England did. You go out there, obviously, the number 4 pick. You get Will Campbell to get the left tackle out of LSU, protect the blind side. Then you come back in the 2nd round, get Travion Henderson, the explosive running back from Ohio State, to add some juice in the running game. And then in the 3rd round, you get Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State, who I think he's going to play a factor in the passing game for the Pats. I like what the Patriots did.
4 offensive linemen they took.
Yeah, which is what they needed, and they went that way. But Will Campbell's attitude was unbelievable when they drafted him. Finally, Graziano, how about the most obvious loser in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, Shedeur and Dion, look, they hyped him up as a first-round pick. You know, Dion talking about him going top 5 overall for a while, and he ends up with a 5, all right, but it was the 5th round of the draft that he gets picked. It's just the entire sort of pre-draft process seemed to go very poorly for Shedeur Sanders, culminating in him last.
Sanders is going to be fascinating.
We see the real Dan Graziano, and that was the what. Dan is here for the why. Dan, why did Shedeur Sanders fall to the 5th round?
Randy, it starts with the fact that teams just really didn't view him as an elite quarterback prospect. This year's draft, outside of Cam Ward, was thought to be fairly thin on quarterback, and you know, he didn't really do anything to separate himself from the rest of the pack. Giants ended up liking Jackson Dart better. The Saints ended up liking Tyler Shuck better, etc. But then, you know, as Friday night came and went, and the Dylan Gabriels of the, you know, why did this happen? How did he slide all the way out of the first 3 rounds? Ended up being the first 4. You know, there was a thought that maybe they could have handled the pre-draft process better. Didn't throw at the combine. Didn't go to the Senior Bowl. Some teams had positive interactions with him in interviews. Some had negative ones. And there was a sense that maybe, you know, that Deion Sanders, to the extent that he was controlling the pre-draft process, might not have done Shedeur any favors. But, you know, you see there, he's happy. The family's happy. He's in a good spot. So it may all work out for the best in the end.
He's excited to get to work. In the hours since the draft has ended, what's been the reaction around the league, Dan?
You mean that he fell to the 5th? I think people were a little surprised, but I also think that most people I talked to didn't see him as a first rounder anyway. So once you get past that, but I think fundamentally one of the key things you keep hearing is he's in a good spot in Cleveland. He's got a chance. This is their quarterback depth chart, which is amazingly 3 first-round picks and 2 rookies. But Watson's not going to play. And if you have to beat out Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, I think he's going to have the opportunity this offseason and in camp to do that. So and not every place he got drafted would have offered him that opportunity, but given how wide open the quarterback competition is in Cleveland, it may be a good spot for him.
You mentioned day 2 and Friday. Sanders actually received a prank call during day 2 of the draft, the call being from the son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. Both the Falcons and Ulbrich's son have apologized to Sanders.
Hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn cách làm một chiếc mũ đội đầu đơn giản từ len nhé. Nguyên liệu của mình cần có chính là len. Mình sẽ sử dụng 3 cái màu sắc như thế này để làm nhé mọi người. Màu vàng, màu xanh lá cây và màu xanh da trời. Mình sẽ sử dụng mình kết hợp lại nhé. Sử dụng kim móc len để làm này. Kéo. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt tay vào làm. Mình sẽ sử dụng cái phần len vàng trước nhé. Đây, sẽ gỡ ra để làm. Đầu tiên thì sẽ móc một cái hình tròn. Đây, mình móc ở đây. Mình vắt dây vào như thế này nhé. Sau đó sẽ tiến hành móc. Móc ở đây. Mình móc từng mũi nửa kép một nhé. Móc cho đến khi được hình tròn thì dừng lại. Tiếp tục móc nha mọi người. Rồi móc tiếp này. Đây, móc tiếp này. Các luân phiên từng mũi. Tiếp tục móc xuống. Đây, móc tiếp nữa này. Mũi tiếp theo. Đấy, cứ từng mũi như này là được nhé. Móc tiếp xuống nha mọi người. Mũi tiếp theo này.